Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is part 8 of For Money. This is the final part. Enjoy. I guess I should have known that you'd all pick up on something being a little odd. You said with a sigh, "We're not special forces for nothing." Your colleague gave you a little smile and you smiled back. Well, again, I apologise, and I promise that as long as we do what Miss Mei Mei says, we'll be fine. She's highly respected in her field, and we have already encountered more than our fair share of these curses today, and we've been fine, so I have no doubts that we'll be fine tonight. You nodded to Mei Mei, and she nodded back. That, and I've paid top dollar for her protection, so I'm expecting top results, you thought. Are we expecting to have any more, trouble tonight? Your female colleague asked hesitantly, looking from you to Mei Mei. Mei Mei shook her head. I had my concerns about the one who just died, but he's no longer an issue, she replied, and you cringed a bit. Oof, that was brutal, but I get it, you thought. Anyway, I'll clean up a little more here. You're all welcome to rest, you said, looking around at some of the larger chunks of body parts strewn about the place. I can't believe I just told them all to rest when there's an exploded body here, and dead bodies hanging in the trees. We really are built different, you thought. Your female colleague and the other male colleague just walked away a little and then sat down, and you started to retrieve body parts when the river rescue male walked over to help. Oh, thank you, you said to him when he came over and offered to take some of the body parts from your hands. Oh, no problem, he said, then cleared his throat. Can I just apologise for before? He asked. I really put you on the spot before and applied a lot of pressure to know about how you had been pulled from the river. I had no idea there was something this big behind the scenes. Yeah, don't apologise, you said, bending to pick up something else. You weren't to know, and I had been keeping it quiet because of my experiences in the past. Thank you for not being too weirded out by the truth, though. I've seen many odd things in my time, he said with a chuckle. I know you're not making this up. I've seen it with my own eyes. You nodded and looked back down again. I won't tell anyone about this, he added. It's not like I want to believe it's not real, but I understand how those who haven't experienced it firsthand could be against it. You nodded. Yeah, I learned very quickly not to say anything. You added. Yeah, I can see how you would have been called crazy, he replied with a chuckle. I'll be honest, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed you either. It was nice to know that you had experienced this with others who now understood and supported you, and you again thought about the Jujutsu sorcery school. I really need to talk to Mei Mei about it, you thought, as you got your things together for the rest of the night. It was a bit of a restless night, understandably, as it usually was for you. On usual mission trips, the minute you closed your eyes to sleep, the haunting faces of the dead that you had rescued would always come back full force. But seeing someone explode before you was just an extra layer that you hadn't exactly encountered before, so you found it hard to suppress that image. But aside from that, there were no other hiccups, and the next morning you decided to call the rest of the rescue off. During breakfast, you addressed your small crew to see if they had anything else they wanted to add in. I hope you all slept decently, despite the happenings yesterday, you said, clearing your throat. I would just like to go over my thoughts and plans for today and see if anyone else here would like to weigh in. I think we've done a great job, you said, and I believe the final 2 bodies have probably been washed into the depths of the cave and are in a position where it would put our lives at high risk to retrieve them, so I'm happy to call the rest of the rescue mission off and call it a semi-success and take the bodies that we have and head out. Any questions or concerns? Or would anyone like to continue the search? You asked, opening it up to your crew. The others were all quite happy to go along with your suggestion of ending it there. They obviously didn't want to bump into any more curses now that they knew what they were, and so after breakfast you all packed up, got your bodies on the stretchers, and left the area with Mei Mei leading the way and keeping an eye out for any other curses. To say that everyone was relieved to get back to the cars was an understatement. You could almost feel the relief and happiness when you saw your cars all parked ahead and you radioed out to call for a truck to come and pick up the bodies and transport them for you, since your car wasn't going to be much help in that regard. As soon as the truck arrived, you thanked your crew once again and then loaded the bodies into the back of the truck and prepared for them to be taken to headquarters for identification and tagging. Your small crew left you then and got into their respective cars and left, leaving you, Mei Mei and Hui Hui together to get into your car and follow the truck back down the mountain. It will not matter from now, Mei Mei reminded you as you drove back down the mountain. The memory erasure placed over them will commence tonight, and they'll wake forgetting about what happened, she said, referring to your colleagues. Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a hard hit for the second time when they find out their friend passed away during this rescue, you said with a sigh. I guess I can just pass it off as an unfortunate accident. We all know what we're up against, so it's not unusual to lose a friend, you added. Mei Mei nodded. Do you feel relieved that you got to explain the truth to them and they accepted it readily? Mei Mei asked you. You nodded. Yeah, actually, you replied. That's the first time I haven't been ridiculed. From there, the ride back down the mountain was somewhat quiet, but you also felt that with Wee Wee in the back, staring daggers into the back of your head, you really didn't have a choice. He clearly didn't want you talking to his sister. Once you got back to the headquarters, though, Mei Mei got out of her side of the car and came around to your side, slipping a small piece of paper into your hand. Call me, she said, before turning and walking away, her hips swaying hypnotically like they always did. My queen, what was it that you just gave him? Wee Wee asked her as she walked away, obviously referring to the slip of paper that you had been given. None of your business, Wee Wee, she replied firmly as he ran to catch up beside her. But did you give him your number? Older sister, I hope you did not, he pouted. A woman needs a man, she replied to him, which made him sulk even more. What did she give me? You wondered as you looked down and then unfurled the paper in hand, reading a phone number there. Is that her personal number or the number of someone from the school? I'll ring it tonight to find out, you thought as you turned to the truck in preparation to help unload the bodies. And then now we have a 10-year time skip. The wind whipping around your head was horrific. That wind itself was terrible, but adding the biting cold to it as well made it feel like millions of little needles were being thrown into your skin. You and your small crew were climbing a snowy mountain in the middle of winter, going up to retrieve the body of a hiker that died there, and for the most part it had been intended to leave the body there, except for the rich father who had paid a decent sum of money for his son's body to be retrieved for a proper burial. Okay, so he's basically happy for us to die, you thought, as you whacked your ice pick into the side of the mountain to hold yourself steady while you prepared the next line of rope. You looked back over your shoulder, your goggles fogging up as you looked back to your crew to make sure they were all okay. You raised your hand to ask if they were all right, waiting for them to reply with raised hands as well to indicate that they were okay, before continuing to focus on what you were doing. A few more steps and you looked up to see a cave ahead, signalling to the others behind you that you had seen shelter ahead and that they would reach it soon. You made it to the cave, an ice cave, with your colleagues behind you, and looked up and around to make sure it was sturdy enough that you would be okay to rest for a second. The second you stepped in deeper, though, you could feel the air was different and you took a moment to get your bearings. You could feel a curse nearby. How is everyone? You asked, stopping just inside the opening of the cave, out of the elements, but not deep enough to get into any trouble yet. Good. The colleague closest to you panted. I think we're close to the body. It said on the map that he perished somewhere near here. Hell, he may even have died in this cave. It would make sense that he took shelter here, but then never made it out. You nodded your head. Well, that would make sense as to why I could feel a presence here, you thought, feeling for the cursed energy knife sitting hidden in its sheath on your hip. Listen, you said to your crew, who were all sitting by now to catch their breath. You rest here. I'm going to scout in a little deeper, and if I find anything, I'll let you know. But if not, we'll head on, yeah? Yeah, sounds good, the closest colleague replied, pulling some food from the bag that he had on his back and eating it. You nodded and then turned and headed deeper, keeping your eyes up as you walked in. It was a little dark, the deeper that you walked, so you grabbed for your torch and shone it around, and that's when you saw it. A curse. Not a very strong one, but a curse nonetheless. Pulling your knife from your pocket, you approached it and then attacked it quickly, shattering it firmly before replacing your knife and looking around. Good thing for that sorcery training, you thought. I can look after myself now. With a smile, you shone your torch further into the cave and saw a lump on the ground. A lump consisting of hiking, jumper, pants and boots. Oh, well, there he is, you thought, seeing the body lying there. So back you went to call for your colleagues to come and help you. 8 grueling hours later, you and your team reached the bottom of the mountain with the body with you, relieved to be back and safe and also to have successfully completed your rescue mission, and you thanked them all, then reached for the phone in your pocket. There was someone important you had to call. You picked it up with your left hand, your wedding band shining as you lifted the phone to your ear. "Hi, Mei Mei," you greeted your wife when she answered the call. "Yes, all finished and safe," you added, met with one curse but defeated it easily. She said something on the line and you smiled. "I'll be home soon," you replied. "Say hi to Wee Wee for me," you added with another smile before hanging up the phone. "Okay, crew," you said to your colleagues as you put your phone away. "Mission successful. Time to go home." Oh, they got married. How cute. Honestly, I can't really see Mei Mei getting married, but hey, look, it's a fan fiction. Let's just allow this one to slip through the cracks. That ends for money. I will be continuing the Sukuna one-shot that I'd done. There was just so much asking for it to be continued. So I'll be going back to that one, and I will be continuing that for a little bit longer. And then I've had a lot more people asking for more Demon Slayer. Yes, I intend to head back to Demon Slayer, and then after Demon Slayer, I'm going back to Haikyuu, because again, I've had more people asking for Haikyuu. So those are the next two that I'll be heading back to for as far as one-shots are concerned. Still be continuing on with my Hero Academia books, but yes, there will be full-length Demon Slayer books in the future and other fandoms I'm intending to branch out. So stay tuned, stick with me. Thank you all once again for your continued support. Sounds very formal, doesn't it? Thank you for your continued patronage of this channel. I trust that you're enjoying the crackhead energy, the secondhand embarrassment, and the cliffhangers. You all know you love the cliffhangers. And I will see you tomorrow for more of the books, and I'll see you next week for more of the one-shots. See you then.